This video will describe the complex concepts dialogue, which you see here. But before we look at this, I'd like to show you something. Every concept in our semantic representations has what we call a semantic complexity level. For example, the word at is a molecule. The word place is a primitive. The word person is another primitive. The concept separate is a molecule. And what we mean by that, in our system we have 5 different levels of semantic complexity. And this comes from natural semantic metalanguage theory. According to the natural semantic metalanguage theorists, there's a universal set of what they call semantic primitives. And these are extremely simple. For example, good and bad, big and small, think, see, hear, etc. And according to the NSM theorists, these semantically simple concepts are present in every language in some form, whether it's a word or morpheme. Then there are semantically more complex concepts which are called semantic molecules. The primitives are sometimes called atoms, and these are called molecules. Most of the concepts in our semantic representations are semantic molecules. But then we include complex concepts, semantically complex, for the languages that have them. And that's what this dialogue is about, for the semantically complex concepts. Here there are 2 categories. One, these are complex and they're inserted by a complex concept insertion rule. For example, shepherd, we can always break shepherd down into a person that takes care of sheep. Or a famine is a time when there isn't food. A prophet is a person who tells people God's message. To fast is to not eat so that you can pray. To winnow is to separate the chaff from the grain or the barley. To crucify is to kill someone by putting them on a cross. We can always break these down into simpler terms using the semantic molecules or the primitives. And so we have rules that put these into the text. Another possibility is we pair a complex word with a simple word. For example, barley is paired with the generic word grain. Companion can be paired with the word friend. And then if you've activated the complex concept companion, the software will keep this and discard friend. If you haven't activated this complex concept, it will discard it and keep the word friend. In Genesis 1:2, the Holy Spirit hovered over the waters. If your language has a word for hover, then you want to use that in your translation. But if it doesn't have a word for hover, then you don't activate this complex concept, and the software will use the word move. And it will say the Holy Spirit moved over the waters. And that sufficiently captures the idea. But then there are other complex concepts that we can't break down, and we can't pair them with a simple concept. For example, the word beginning in Genesis 1:1. We can't break this down into simpler terms, and we can't pair it with a simpler term. For these complex, we have what we call a vocabulary alternate. In other words, we have a separate sentence that includes this word. And if you've activated this complex concept, then the software will use that vocabulary alternate and discard this simple vocabulary alternate. If you haven't activated this complex concept, then the software will discard the complex vocabulary alternate and instead use the simple sentence that tries to capture this idea. We were created in God's image. So there's a simple sentence that uses simple words, or there's this complex, it's a vocabulary alternate that includes this complex concept, kinsman redeemer, or fruitful as in be fruitful and multiply, etc. So it's these 2 categories that we're looking at in the complex concepts dialogue. And we see here, okay, the words in category 2 are in yellow. The words in green, there aren't very many of them. The words in green are in this level 3, complex, and they're only in vocabulary alternates. Now all you need to do here is activate. You can activate a concept separately, or you do it for one audience at a time. I have 4 audiences defined: church adults, unchurched adults, church children, and unchurched children. So you can activate a complex concept for an individual audience. If you want to activate all of them, just click at the top. And let's do that for verbs also while we're here. So now we've activated all of them. Before we activated these, the verse produces, recently you were working with the women who work for Boaz. Boaz is our relative. Tonight Boaz will be separating the chaff from the grain at the place where people separate grain from plants. Okay, separating the chaff from the grain. That's how we define the word winnow. And at the place where people separate grain from plants, that's how we define a threshing floor. We see here that the verb winnow is one of our complex concepts. So now when we do this, so now we see the verb winnow, and we see threshing floor. And if we generate the verse now, tonight Boaz will be winnowing the barley at the threshing floor. So it uses these complex concepts. And that's what this dialogue is about. But there's one more part. We have the standard syntactic categories, but then there's one more level, adjectives to verbs. And for this I want to go to a different verse. Let's go to sentence 3. Joseph's brothers were afraid of Joseph. Many languages will use verbs where we use an adjective. Our semantic representations are heavily influenced by English. So if English uses an adjective, we will use an adjective in our semantic representations. But suppose instead of saying be afraid, your language has a word like fear. Joseph's brothers fear Joseph. This actually says degree is intensified, so they were very afraid of Joseph. Over here, if we go to this last part, let's activate, this will convert adjectives to verbs. So let's convert afraid, this is afraid sense be, let's convert afraid sense be to a verb. And that does two things. First, it activates this rule, convert object attributes to events. So afraid be is now active, this rule for afraid be. And what this does is it deletes the adjective phrase containing afraid. The nominal argument is now moved out and it becomes a patient. And then this new concept, be afraid, is inserted into the text. And we see here this new concept. And if you look over here in the ontology, here's be afraid. This is now considered a user-defined concept. That's why it's in red. And if we go back here, sentence 3. Now we'll link this to the concept fear. Right there. And now if we generate the sentence, but Joseph's brothers didn't answer his question because they feared him. So, if your language uses verbs where English tends to use an adjective, you can come here and activate these. And this will activate the complex concept insertion rule, and it will add a verb to the ontology, a user-defined verb, and then you can treat it just like any other verb in the ontology. You can link your target words to it, and you can write grammar rules for it, etc.